Hello friends, in the knowledge series we will see about the million cells. When the light enters into the retina, the photoreceptors are getting activated. From there it goes to the bipolar cells, to the ganglion cells, and through the axons of the ganglion cells it enters into the optic nerve head. The visual pathway starts from the retina, goes to the optic nerve, goes to the optic chiasm and to the lateral geniculate body. From the lateral geniculate body, through its optic radiations, it enters into the visual cortex. Ganglion cells has lot of importance in glaucoma process. The axons of the retinal ganglion cells forms the optic nerve head. This is the neuroretinal rim, which is formed by the axons of the retinal ganglion cells. This is the retinal ganglion cell, which has a cell body and a dendrite. There are about 1.2 million retinal ganglion cells with 18 different types. This is the representation of different types of retinal ganglion cells. Based on its anatomical structure, molecular biology, and functional capacity, retinal ganglion cells can be classified. Retinal ganglion cell has a soma and a dendrite. The soma, depending on its size, it can be classified into small and large. Dendrite's classification can be based on its field size, the stratification, shape, and its compactness. This is the representation of the different type of retinal ganglion cells and its representation through different pathways. It has a corneocellular pathway, parvocellular pathway, and a magnocellular pathway. Also, it has something called as a melanin containing intrinsic photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. The midget cells, always called as P cells, forms the maximum capacity. About 70% of the retinal ganglion cells are the midget cells, which is small in its size and has a small receptive field. It is represented in the central part of the retina, projects into the parvocellular pathway, which is important for the color perception. Parasol cells, are otherwise called as the M cells, represents 10% of the retinal ganglion cells, larger in its size and represents the larger receptive field. It has a fast conduction velocities and it projects into the magnocellular pathway. It is responsible for high sensitivity to luminance contrast, and also it is important for motion, flicker, and the depth perception. We have the bistratified cells, forms about 5 to 8% of the retinal ganglion cells, which is smaller in size, projects into the corneocellular pathway. It is important for the good color vision with the low spatial resolution. The melanin containing intrinsic photosensitive retinal ganglion cells represents 1% of the retinal ganglion cells. It has a large sparse dendritic field, intrinsically photosensitive. These cells are capable of phototransduction independently of rods and cones. Helps in the circadian rhythm through projection to suprachiasmatic nucleus, and also regulation of pupillary light reflex through projection to olivary pretectal nucleus. The melanin containing intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells are preserved in the mitochondrial neuropathies and also in autosomal dominant optic neuropathies, but are affected in the other neuropathies like glaucoma and late onset neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinsonism. Hope this information is useful for you. Thank you to you all and also to the million cells.